Hello, everybody, and welcome to Responsible AI in Action, where we are discussing conversations around responsible AI with some of the leading experts in the space. I'm very excited to have with us today Dominique Shelton Leipzig. Dominique, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Patrick, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. You come from a wealth of experience. You're currently working as the Privacy and Cybersecurity Partner at Mayer Brown, and you have years of experience talking about technology from a legal standpoint. And as you well know, there is a lot happening in our world today with regards to artificial intelligence, regulation, and what it means for us moving forward. I'm wondering if you could share with our listeners what got you interested in this space. Was it an evolution over time, or had you always known that you were interested in kind of the tech side of legal?
Yeah, so I started my career in 1991, and that was pre-Web 1.0 even. And in 1998, I started working for a law firm that did a lot of work for tech companies, social media companies that were just emerging. And I just got the bug at that point. It was very clear to me that where technology was going would be where our future is going. And I just wanted to be right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing to see how rapidly the industry has gone and what developments and evolutions are starting to take place. It Why is this a specific area that you've decided to focus on in your work as it relates to data privacy, cybersecurity, and then, of course, specifically in our work with responsible AI?
Yeah, so I talk about this a little bit in my book, which is called Trust, Responsible AI, Innovation, Privacy, and Data Leadership. But Patrick, all of these things are intertwined. Our future and everything that we do is driven by technology. And it's going to even be more so with artificial intelligence and generative AI on the scene. So for me personally, it was just a passion area to make sure that the development is happening in a way that will unlock innovation, make the technology trustworthy, and grow our economy and also safety for society.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's more important now than ever before, perhaps. And I know that the world, especially, is just, as I mentioned before, we're trying to keep up with everything. I know even for myself, as someone who works at the Responsible AI Institute, I'm always just trying to keep up with the latest news and trends. And that's a big reason why we have this interview series as well, is to connect with experts like yourself to be able to talk about what's happening in the space. I would love to hear your take on the recent developments with the EU AI Act. I know that recently it passed unanimously by the European Union, and people are also starting to compare it a bit to Europe's GDPR as well. So I would love to hear your take on what's happening with this and how you see it evolving.
Well, thanks for asking, Patrick. And this is so important. So Europe is going first with its sort of omnibus AI Act, very similar to GDPR with privacy. So they're taking ownership of the space. They're putting forward a framework, if you will, for how governance could be operated to unlock innovation and keep AI safe. They're the first ones to go, but I've noticed this trend in a total of 97 countries, 6 continents, and they're all pulling together around some 6 key principles. And so it's exciting to see this synergy and coming together of best thinking on how to make AI incredible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. You don't necessarily have to list them all, but what are some of those principles that you're seeing across the board?
Well, what I'm seeing across the board is a focus on having companies that license large language models for their own uses, banks, financial institutions, healthcare companies, educational institutions. They're looking for those organizations to risk rank the AI. So first and foremost, you need to know what kind of AI you're dealing with. Is it AI that's going to be prohibited in the EU in a couple of years? Is it AI that is going to be low risk like a chatbot on a website? Or is it AI that's going to be in that middle area? I call it the yellow zone, where you can proceed into the intersection, but with caution. And there's about 142 examples of high risk AI, or yellow light is what I call them, AI out there.
Yeah. It's what I've come to discover is that a lot of the world is looking at the EU AI Act and using it as a barometer, as exactly as you were just saying, that businesses are seeing, okay, how is this regulation going to play out? And how does it impact the AI systems that I'm either implementing or in the process of creating for my business? So we see a lot of the world looking at this EU AI Act. But then on the flip side of that, I would love to hear your thoughts on the UK. Recently, news came out about how the UK is taking a very different approach to AI regulation. How do we find that balance between these different types of regulation? And what are your thoughts on the UK coming out and saying that, okay, we're actually going to do things a little bit differently than the EU?
Yeah, so ever since Brexit, the UK is kind of, it goes in its own direction, but the fundamentals are here entirely the same in terms of what the actual governance is that's being recommended by the UK and the EU. So the risk ranking exists in both scenarios. It will be mandatory in the EU, and it will be a voluntary guidance and recommended in the UK. But the reality is, I just want to give you an example of why this governance is so important. So just about a month ago in the UK, there was a package company that deals with sort of almost like our Federal Express logistics companies that deal with sending packages back and forth. They were using a chatbot, which is a low risk AI. So a lot of the governance I'm talking about wouldn't apply in the UK or in the EU. But imagine this, the CEO wakes up to their brand name trending because of a viral thread on X, formerly Twitter, where the chatbot is cursing at customers and criticizing the company. So talking about unlocking innovation, the company ended up disabling the chatbot, but actually the only thing that needed to have happened is not to disable, but actually put in guardrails into the AI tool itself. So the company would be aware the first time the chatbot cursed out a customer, not the 10,000th time. So this is what the importance of understanding the governance that will help unlock the innovation, protect the brand, and make the company have assurances that the AI is doing exactly what we want it to do.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. It's going to be something that it has been rapidly evolving, and I think it will continue to do so. Thankfully, we have experts like yourself who are able to keep us informed on the latest regulation and law that is happening in the space. Dominique, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to join us on the show, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing in this space. Before we sign off, I'm wondering if you could just share with our listeners where they could find out more information about you and your work.
Well, yes, you can go to the website for the book, which is just my name, DominiqueSheltonLeipzig.com, or you can see a lot of the things that I'm doing on the legal front on my Mayer Brown. Mayer Brown is spelled Mayer space Brown, BROWN, like the color, and you can find me in my bio there.
Wonderful. Well, I'll make sure to include those various resources in our show description. So for all of our viewers or listeners out there, all you have to do is scroll down and click those various resources in the description. Dominique, thank you so much again for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Patrick.